Let's go!
Yeah, accepting that Project L is just not going to be out for a while. Almost, yeah, here it is. Almost forgetting that it kind of exists is probably a good idea. We've all known this, right? It's getting kind of even beyond what my initial projections were. I think when we were first hearing about Project L and looking at those, you know, gameplay snippets before it was even a tag game, I think even I was mentioning, like, you guys ain't getting a beta until 2023, and that shit was like 2020. Even my predictions around that time frame felt like they were relatively, like, generously far out. 2023 is so far away, you don't even think about it, you know? We got a little bit more information about what the heck's going on with Project L in the hands of Gamerby, and he seemingly got a hands-on preview of the game that he is allowed to talk about in the form of a couple of tweets and compiled translations. Let's see what lines up with what we know and see what makes sense. Is there anything that's like really outside of any of the stuff that we are aware of, that we've already been kind of hyper aware of, or has been heavily assumed for an extremely long time? They showed new footage, which is being kept private, and did question the answer period. It took extensive notes and shared them on Twitter. Notes include details on game mechanics, esports plans, several Riot's general aims for checking boxes for various kind of players. Free to play, live service game. No shit. Is anybody surprised by this? Like, the big fighting game that's like a big franchise fighting game that's going to be the first one to tackle free to play, that isn't like multiverses, you know, that's like a traditional non-Smash fighting game. Project L is pretty much the one that everyone is looking towards. This is the free to play game that everyone is essentially hyper focused on, that, oh, this will be the live service game that everyone's sort of anticipating. This is the one because it's already a game that shockingly going to be a free to play game, where Riot makes the majority of their games free to play and live service games. So makes perfect sense, and we've all already known this. This means it'll evolve over time as the developers add DLC, but will not update into a new official version, such as Street Fighter V adding arcade and championship editions, or Mortal Kombat 11 being Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. These versions of these games exist because these games launched at a premium price. Street Fighter V was a $60 game. Mortal Kombat 11 is a $60 game. Their expansions were upwards of $30 to $40 each, maybe $50. Yes, they would release paid expansions, premium expansions for their premium fighting games. That is the way they work. The game is still far from a closed beta stage, let alone release, which to me is that I didn't call. I felt we were getting possibly close to, and I felt maybe 2023 was going to be the year where we actually play this game. Even my generous presumption is actually wrong. So if that's the case, we might be looking at a 2024 beta and maybe even a 2025 launch, which is time to just forget about the game again. Kind of do this every single year when it comes to Project L. You just forget the game exists for a long time, and then you're reminded by it and you get excited again, and it's like, damn, yeah, this shit does look cool. Keeps looking cooler. They keep adding stuff. Damn, look at all these tag mechanics. This looks dope. Soon after, you have to remind yourself that you have to forget that this game exists, because that has essentially been our relationship with Project L since before the goddamn pandemic had even begun. They want to create a 2v2 game with speed, visuals, powerful attacks, and an easy to understand defense and counter system. The system should be easy to pick up, but also have depth for research, obviously. This game is being made by fighting game players who clearly understand that you can't have an overly complex mechanical fighting game that's hard to play and has a lot of depth. They have to strike the perfect balance. Fighting games need to be relatively easy to pick up, but hard to master. Also have different levels of mastery, and that's an important thing. Different levels of mastery where you can see the distinct visual playstyle between the players. Even the devs said that in the previous interview, where they want character expression and player expression to be like at the forefront of their design. Hearing devs say that shit is like, oh, god damn it. Like, thank you. I dealt with all those mid-2010s for a reason. Project L will be a permanent version of a fighting game, officially called a live service, which means there won't be a sequel but continuous updates. It will integrate the world of League of Legends into the fighting game perspective, adding new elements, selectable characters suited for fighting games with over 140 League characters into a 2v2 system. There's infinite possibilities. Yes, we know. In the demo video, there's a move called Retreating Guard, which cancels backdash while in defense. If the opponent swings and misses, they can be countered by attacking from a farther distance if they anticipate the retreating guard move. This means retreating guard has an unavoided vulnerability. Yeah, this sounds very much V-Shift like. I think this is a translation weirdness. This is making it sound so much more complicated than it probably is. They mentioned something like this, and this isn't push block. No, they show push block in the previous video, and it was like either early or crazy because it pushed like full screen. This sounds very V-Shift like with an obvious counter poke. Oh, if you call it that they're gonna do it, there's recovery, you know? Normal moves can be canceled into a jump chain combo or a ground chain combo that includes a launcher. Then a jump to continue the combo, which is similar to Marvel vs. Capcom. There will be many defense systems that have not been showcased yet. Well, clearly push block is one of them. Let's just look at this stuff.
And I mean, who doesn't love a good team fight?
Is that a bad thing? Not at all. It's just that it's early. Oh. So we're looking at some sort of like retreating defensive action. Defense is usually associated with blue, right? In almost all fighting games, defense is usually blue stuff. So this was clearly like a Mega Crash sort of move of some kind, defensive Mega Crash kind of move. That's Echo stuff. That's just active tag.
All right.
Okay, hang on.
We want you to have powerful buttons which are useful in a number.
Which
are useful. You have powerful buttons which are useful.
Interesting. No, this just comes across as faultless defense, right? This feels like it's almost like FD-like.
Useful in a number of ways.
Interesting.
While also giving...
Because she was also doing something kind of similar. It's weird to say if this is just regular defense or just defending.
Also giving you the tools you need to defend.
You need to see characters blocking stuff normally.
We have a mix of big, clear defensive options.
Oh, no, it's different. Okay, no. Look at the effect here, right? There's obviously like a guard effect here that's going on. But if we look at what these characters are doing, their whole body is glowing and they're like... It's slightly different. Fascinating if that's what that is. Which cancels backdash while in defense. It still feels not really that. They can be countered by attacking from a farther distance if they anticipate the retreating guard move. This means retreating guard has unavoidable vulnerability. It still doesn't feel the same. That's definitely something, but this comes across as something very different. When calling for character assistance during a combo, players can switch characters indicated by a yellow flash. And the original character will exit the stage, allowing for a secondary character to enter. Veteran players need not worry. Project L will not be a game that is too easy. There will be depth for skilled players to explore. Cool. There will be 3 attacks for light, medium, and heavy, which I think was presumed, along with other combination keys and directional inputs for special effects. There won't be any moves that require specific input commands, as all moves will be direction and button combinations. And the writing was on the wall, bro. Right? The fact that this was a directional game, just like DNF Duel and just like Power Rangers, I mean, I think we'd all be sort of lying to ourselves if we thought immediately that this was going to be a big motion input game. If there's reward for motion inputs, you know what? Sure. But we all kind of knew this was coming. Is it the end of the world? I'll be happy to report to you that it's not. DNF Duel is a wacky and wild game, and it does not require directional inputs. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid is an absolute insane game with a lot of execution and is absolutely friggin' crazy. Does not have anything outside of just directional inputs. I feel like motion inputs is a thing that's sort of attached to legacy for certain games, but when you're creating a new IP, it doesn't really matter. It's a different game. This is not the same exact game as Marvel vs. Capcom. It's not the exact same game as Street Fighter. It's not the exact same game as SNK. So the fact that this is a new franchise is fine. Like it's not gonna have motion inputs. Okay, but what's our comparison here? Marvel vs. Capcom games? Power Rangers? Well, Power Rangers is pretty similar to what this game is doing in many ways, you know? To me, it's not really that much of a problem. Not every single fighting game should be designed around, right? The fact that we still will have legacy games that don't need it is fine. There won't be any CC skills like in League. I don't know what that is. Oh, crowd control skills. Oh, okay. But it will be presented in a different way. There will be a pro esports environment, and some may worry that official tournaments will displace community events. Therefore, there will be a limit on official tournaments, but in community tournaments can use L to organize events. Both characters have to be KO'd to win, and each game will have at least 2 rounds. They are working hard to coordinate with PlayStation and hope to create a fighting game with the same input lag across all platforms. What the hell? Are we just straight up acknowledging this game's going to be on console as well? That's actually probably the biggest news from this. I mean, that's great news. That's not a bad thing at all. That's actually amazing news. Rollback netcode, crossplay, multiple console release and PC. Fuck, man, that's dream come true shit.